Many of you probably know by now that Hideo Kojima recently took the stage at Tokyo Game Show 2018 to talk about Death Stranding and to spotlight the game's Japanese dubbing cast. Now, I expected we'd get few tidbits of information, that the Japanese cast would chime in about what a great time they've had and that would be it, but we actually got a lot more out of the presentation than I think most of us anticipated. The information was all in Japanese, but fortunately, Twitter user @ashman1021 reached out to me and offered to help translate the information, which I live tweeted during the presentation. But for those who'd prefer to have all of that information compiled in a video, I've got you covered. Without further ado, here is every new important Death Stranding information from Tokyo Game Show 2018 that you need to know about. One of the first questions that the host asked was how far along Death Stranding's development was, and after Kojima reiterated how it all began with a search for an office and an engine, while Kojima didn't provide any specifics, he did hint that development is in full gear, stating that he's working on the game from morning to evening, that he's on the controller every day, and that he's constantly supervising things like acting and movement. Overall, he noted that the game's development is still progressing as planned, though there was a bit of a delay in finding the right actors, with Norman and Mads in particular having taken a year to get. I should also note that the voice actor strike did have an impact in Kojima Productions' ability to cast actors and move forward with performance capture. From there, they brought the Japanese cast on stage, which currently comprises of Kenijiro Tsuda, who's playing Sam Porter Bridges, Kikuko Inoue, who's playing Lindsay Wagner's character, Nana Mizuki, who's playing Leia Seydoux' character, and Akio Otsuka and Satoshi Mikami, both of who are playing newly introduced characters. It is worth noting that Kojima has previously worked with many of these actors in the past for the Metal Gear series. Inoue, for example, voiced Rosemary, the Boss, Sunny, and Chico. Mizuki voiced Paz Ortega in Peace Walker. Akio Otsuka voiced Solid, Solidus, Naked, and Venom Snake throughout the series. And Mikami voiced Ocelot in Metal Gear Solid 5. The only newcomer here is Kenijiro Tsuda, voice of Sam, for who this is the first time working with Kojima, and who has apparently dubbed characters played by Norman Reedus in the past. In terms of how much progress Kojima has made with the Japanese cast, it was noted that so far they've only fully recorded and implemented lines for the Japanese dubbed version of the E3 2018 trailer, which was featured at the beginning of the presentation. It sounds really good, I might add. The actors also noted how the scripts they have been given so far have no additional details in terms of the game's setting and whatnot. They've only got the lines, which Akio Otsuka noted was very typical Kojima, likely referring to a secretive nature. Now, something interesting that Mizuki, who plays Leia's character, conveyed was that the fragile umbrella that Leia carries around is a reflection of the character itself. She didn't elaborate beyond that, so interpret that as you wish, but Mizuki did add that it took many retakes for her to get the character's personality just right. Then, after talking about the fun experience that is for Kojima and team to work on Death Stranding, they eventually delved into some character art, eventually introducing a brand new character who is performance captured and voiced by Tommy Earl Jenkins in English and voiced by Akio Otsuka in Japanese. He was described to be the boss for the company or agency that Sam works for. They were not able to provide any additional details beyond that, but it was noted that there is a reason for why he's wearing that mask, which, by the way, sure as hell does look like the very same mask worn by Ludens, wouldn't you say? That's certainly something to bring up in future analysis. From there, they moved on to showcase a character who we saw in the E3 2018 trailer, the Man in the Golden Mask, who got his own short trailer at TGS 2018. Most people initially thought that this was Matt's character because he used a very similar hand gesture, but in my previous analysis I brought up the possibility that this might actually be an entirely different character due to the fact that Matt signals with 2 fingers while the Man in the Golden Mask signals with 1. It was just a theory at the time, but turned out I was right. The Man in the Golden Mask is a separate character, performance captured and voiced by Troy Baker in English, and voiced by Satoshi Mikami in Japanese. They did bring up the fact that both Troy Baker and Satoshi Mikami played Ocelot in MGS5 in their respective languages, but Kojima noted this is more coincidental than anything else. While not much was said about the man in the golden mask, Kojima interestingly brought up how Mikami is perfect for the role because he's played a lot of bad characters, but also started playing good characters recently like Doctor Strange. Maybe it's just me, but this could be interpreted to mean that the character might possibly be morally gray rather than flat out evil, which funny enough is very much like Ocelot. Mikami did chime in, however, that while the worldview of this game is confusing, when he asked Kojima about his character, it felt to him as though the man in the golden mask was more of a bad person. Kojima then provided some comments on the footage itself, with what he said translating as, quote, "Looks like gameplay, yeah? Maybe fighting is better, maybe running is better, who knows?" Kojima then added that while he wanted to make the man in the golden mask more evil, because Mikami is so cool, Kojima made him a more cool villain. Regardless of where this character lies in the moral spectrum, it seems clear from the footage and comments from Kojima and Mikami that the man in the golden mask will be more of a villainous antagonistic force than anything else, but we'll see. I should also make note of the fact that the footage they showcased low-key confirmed that Stephanie Houston will be in the game. The person that Sam is lugging around here with him, yup, that is Stephanie's character model alright. While Kojima and Stephanie are both playing coy by not saying anything, despite many people having pointed this out on social media, acknowledgement from Stephanie Houston's manager is the next best thing to official confirmation. I discussed all this in my last video, by the way, so if you're curious about all the speculation, hints, and theories leading up to the secret reveal, be sure to check that video out. Anyway, the conversation then shifted to the Japanese voice of Mads, who Kojima did not reveal at TGS 2018, though he noted it was difficult to find someone perfect for him, and that he believes he did eventually manage to find someone perfect for the role. The next topic of discussion was Guillermo del Toro's character, who we know is modeled after Guillermo but will be played and voiced by someone else in both English and Japanese. Not much was said about the character except that Kojima wants to make him someone interesting and funny while noting that he speaks the most lines in the game. The next character with most lines, Kojima said, was Sam's boss, the man in the black mask, played by Tommy Earl Jenkins and Akio Otsuka. From there, they moved on to talk about how Kojima went about casting for Death Stranding, to which he responded that beyond acting skills, the most important thing to him was each actor's individual personalities, as well as how much Kojima himself trusts them. The Japanese cast then talked a bit about the camaraderie in the group and what a great and fun ride it's been so far to voice for Death Stranding, before Kojima commented on the game's release date, stating that it still hasn't changed after all this time, not yet at least, and he asked everyone to wait a little longer. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is pretty much all the new important bits of information you need to know about from TGS 2018. Obviously, there are still a lot more questions people have about the game, and this event didn't really do much to answer many of them, but it still yielded more content to mull over than I anticipated. If I were you, I would look forward to PlayStation Experience 2018 in December for a more extensive blowout and showcase that may finally give us some idea of what kind of game this really is. Until then though, lots of interesting imagery to ponder upon as we try to wrap our heads around one of the most bizarre yet intriguing upcoming PlayStation exclusives. With that, I would like to end this news update. Thank you for tuning in. If you enjoy my content and would like to support this channel directly, consider donating on Patreon. And to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Yong Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Yong out.